Hi there everybody, it's Kendra here. Welcome back to This DIY Mom Life. Here on my channel you will find a variety of knitting videos, sewing tutorials, functional DIYs, and other projects for around the home. In today's video, I am going to follow up with a part 2 on my how to knit faster video, and this is to first of all answer some questions and also show purling. So if you haven't checked out part 1, I will link it and both in the cards and in the description. I encourage you to check it out if you are wanting to learn how to knit faster. This is going to be kind of a follow-up, and I'm going to focus on how I hold my yarn and how to purl. Now before we get started, I got a few questions asking like, is English style flicking the fastest way? And really it depends on the person. I know a lot of people say continental generally is faster overall, but for me, since I'm already an English style knitter and I've tried to change and I've done it a little here and there, however, for me, making my English style the most efficient as possible is how I was able to gain speed. So this may be helpful for you. If you have other questions or tips, please leave them down below. It seems like a lot of people want more information on how to increase their speed when they're knitting. Alright, so for today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating on this sock I am currently working on. This is just some yarn that I dyed up. I do have a video on how to dye self-striping yarn if you're interested, but I have kind of been saving this, been working on it, and even though this wouldn't be a natural spot to be purling, I thought it would help to be able to see in the color changes exactly what I am doing. Now to begin with, I got a lot of questions about properly holding your yarn, and again, there's not a proper, and in the last video I really focused on how to hold the yarn close to the end of your fingertip. However, my natural go-to is to go over this finger, under the middle two, and then on my pinky. Again, this is not a prescription, and this changes for me depending on the type of yarn I'm using. So by doing that, I have a little bit of opportunity to control the tension right at this point right here, as well as right here. However, if I'm using a really slippery yarn or I feel like I'm really struggling to keep my tension consistent, one thing I do at times is to wrap it around my pinky and then go under. So by doing that wrap, it gives a full amount, and I do this more when I'm crocheting, and that's kind of where I started it from, but by doing that it really pulls on here and it gives you a lot of drag, which is good as far as being able to control that slippery yarn, but for me it does slow me down when it's time to actually do my knitting, because I feel like I really have to pull with this finger to get that yarn coming. Now another option for slippery yarn that I do from time to time, and really it's a matter of troubleshooting for me, that if I'm struggling with a yarn or it's not working properly, I just knit a few rows a different way and see if it works better. Again, this one being my go-to, generally wrapping the pinky is my next step. Alternatively, at times I take my middle two, grab it, and do a twist there. So it's kind of like with the pinky, but on my pinky it gets really tight, whereas when I have two fingers, I can almost have a two-part tensioning problem, or two-part tension, where I can pull it this way and then pull it on my finger. It's kind of hard to explain, and it sounds more complicated than it is, but again, it's just an option as far as being able to tension it in more places when you're having trouble with a yarn, or if my method's not working for you. It's just a few ideas of what may work better for you. Sorry, it's a little hard to knit around my filming equipment here and looking through the camera lens. However, you will see that by doing that, it's a different method to try out and see how you like it. For me, this does take, it's not as quick as when I can just do this one here. However, it's quicker than having to set it down or fix mistakes or not getting my yarn properly tensioned. Alright, so my second tip that I'm just going to mention is to practice knitting without looking, and by doing that you don't have to pay, it's just a way to not pay as much attention to every single stitch. And to minimize the amount of time, say with these socks, that I'm doing those cord changes, if I can do that without looking, oh, there's a tail. If I can do that without looking, it just increases my time overall. Alright, so now for the purling. And for me, purling is quite similar in that I hold my yarn the same way, and I'm going to be doing that same over-under sort of method, but I'll pull my yarn to the front, I insert my needle, I wrap through and off. It's really similar. Again, the more that this needle and this finger can be a little bit more vertical rather than holding it further back and then having to really exaggerate your movements, the faster and more efficient the purling will be. So you can see, and again, it's good to experiment and see what exactly does work for you. You may want to hold your finger there like the whole time. You may want to pull it back a little. It's just finding something comfortable and efficient. So I'm just going to do some purling here so you can watch. I'll try to do some slower, some quicker. You can watch my movements. Again, this is not the only way to knit. This is just the way that I have found. All right, the last thing I wanted to show you was doing a rib, so where you're alternating knitting and purling. So when I do this, I try to, again, it's all about making your movements more efficient, more ergonomic. It's easier on the hands. And as the side result is that knitting increases, or your speed increases. I want to be able to keep my yarn in that same spot where I'm not making a lot of changes when switching between knits and purls. And you may be able to tell there are times when I'm knitting, I'll do my knits, and then for my purls, I will keep this needle exactly the same angle. And that means I do have to move my finger a lot more. Now another option, and I do this sometimes too, is when you're switching, instead of moving your finger a little bit further to switch over to the purls, is to move that needle a little bit more vertical. When I switch to the more vertical, my finger does move less when my stitches are at the end here. However, when I keep my needle the same, then I don't have to worry about changing that angle. So again, it's just something else for you to play around with and see what works best for you. All right, now that's just a few more tips for you on some ideas to increase the speed of your knitting. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to see more videos from me in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!